Madam Chairman, members of the council, we appreciate the chance to give you a brief update on the progress of the pilot program that we are undergoing for garbage collection through recycling. Jow has done most of the figuring out and getting her done in this project, so she'll be doing most of the talking. But I want to talk just real briefly about what brought us here and why it is that we're embarking on this recommendation to you. As you are aware, at present we collect garbage viewed in a very manual fashion. People have their own garbage cans in their backyards, and then we have a truck come by and the men throw the garbage in the back of the truck. And this process leads to what we see in this photo. Many of the garbage cans that are in the alleys and on the streets of Butte lack lids. There's a lot of litter on the streets. When the wind blows, there's a lot of litter in the community. So it's a rather unsightly way to handle garbage. And it's also a very inefficient way to handle garbage. We are the only major and probably only minor city in Montana that still collects garbage in this fashion. And so we wanted to investigate whether we could realize some efficiencies, clean up the town, and improve the look of the town, and also create some efficiencies by changing how we collect garbage. And so the pilot program that we embarked upon, and here's another photo of a typical scene for the garbage cans in view. So the pilot program we embarked upon would provide a standardized container at every home. These would be containers with integral hinge lids. They'd be animal-proof and wind-proof for the most part. And we also wanted to take a look if there was a way to provide curbside recycling in Butte. And we've been doing this for about 3 months, and so we have some reports for you today. But it was interesting that the Public Works Department of Helena gave Jow a call, and they came down to visit. And the Public Works Director and 2 of his lieutenants came, and they toured the pilot program with Jow, and they came by the office and we visited. And I was real pleased that they told us that they had to come to Butte, because the Helena City Council kept asking them, how come you guys can't do things like they do them in Butte? And they said that they heard that we have a great transit system, paratransit system, and this curbside recycling that Butte, so how come you guys can't do stuff like that? So I didn't know we were the poster child for anything in the state of Montana, so I was very pleased to hear that. And then the last slide that Jow is going to present, and I'm going to give this over to her in a second. We'll talk about costs that Butte has for garbage collection versus costs that the other cities in Montana have. And you'll see that it is a very favorable comparison. And I like to think that Butte is Montana's most livable city. We've got some of the lowest greens fees in our municipal golf course. We've got some of the lowest garbage fees in the state. Our water fees are low. Our sewer fees are low. The cost of housing is very affordable. This is a place where the average Joe can still come and have a good quality of life. And so, Joe will show you that slide as the last, but I'll let her start doing the talking now.
Chairwoman and Council Commissioners, thanks for having Dave and I present tonight. The first thing we want to really talk to you about is these costs that we've kind of are brainstorming right now. We split them up between just the solid waste and then also just the recycling. So we'll first talk about only the solid waste and then we'll move on to recycling. But to kind of just show you what we've been up to, here's a video of how this is working so far. review, the arm extends and it'll pick up that black receptacle right there. So it'll pull up, and then there's a little bit of a swing before all of the waste gets deposited into the trucks. So we'll just move on to our next slide here. Okay, so we started this winter. The first couple weeks, the drivers were getting used to driving on the passenger side, trying to use that hydraulic arm to be able to lift the garbage containers. I coordinated the deliveries with McGree's, so we made sure we recorded all of the numbers on the bins. And at first it was a lot slower to pick up. We were behind 2 or 3 hours in the regular pickup, but a lot of it was just a huge learning curve for us. So as soon as we got that up to speed, it went a little bit smoother. Just to review and refresh your minds, this is the pilot area for Uptown, just west of the Anselmo Mine Yard. So it starts on Caledonia and moves up to Lexington Street. And the south region is just east of the Country Club, which is north of Elizabeth Warren, moving up to Hannibal, and all of that is still west of Continental Drive. This is an example of the alleys uptown. So a lot of the questions that we'll kind of try to address today are because we've moved containers to one side on collection day. So why that is because we don't have enough room for the truck to still operate if there were containers on both sides of the alleys. So we recommended that some people move their garbage to the other side of the alley only on collection day, so that we can make that one movement through the alleys with the truck. And then all of the drivers have identified where these are supposed to go based on how much room there is. Remember that there's, we still need about 3 feet of clearance all around the garbage bin. So just to make sure that there's room, we've decided which side of the alley the container should be on. So some of the things that we learned, because everything is documented, we were able to make sure that we could track lost or misplaced carts. All of the carts are numbered, so there were a few that were missing all of a sudden, and we had to track them down. And so we'll move on to the next point. And of 300 phone calls we received, roughly, about 84% of those people liked the change. So these were people who maybe called and said, hey, we don't know where our garbage container is supposed to go. Can you help us identify where that's supposed to go? So we walked them through it. I basically didn't let them go before they were happy, so I don't know if it's part of my convincing them to kind of work with us, but they also provided feedback for me for when they wanted to move garbage to whichever side of the alley, or if they wanted to move to the front of their curb. So we took all of those calls and made sure that everybody was at least satisfied with where their bins were supposed to go. So what about that 16%? So 16% weren't happy, so they didn't want to move that across the alley. Because some of the alleys are a lot steeper, we have older folks who weren't able to move the bins across the alleys. And basically we just asked, well, how did you do this before? How did you bring your garbage out to the curb before, or to your garbage before? And they either have a spouse or a child or their neighbor help them out. And so we just recommended to have them do the same. I offered my time, so that's just something that we all need to just help everybody work with getting their garbage out to the right side of the alley on collection day. So McGree Trucking and Butte Silver Go have been working together to answer all of these